Hello, everyone. It's Phil Yaeger here, and welcome to CPA Review and More. And usually most of these, podcasts are more, all right? We don't keep talking about the CPA exam, all right? We don't want to be the cure for insomnia, all right, and put you to sleep. So today, and by the way, as I said, we scan the globe looking for the best people, all right? And you know what? We found the globe, and under the globe, no, we found a very, I don't book the guests actually. I have someone, but he's been doing it for 2 years, and he gets me some real nice people, and enjoy talking to him. I learned stuff, and I hope you will learn stuff. Our guest today is Arthur Garcia. All right, Arthur is a tech leader. I'm just going to read this, Arthur, from your LinkedIn thing. Co-founder of COO Somas, co-founder of Katabi Alliance. And by the way, all right, I love this group. They've never invited me to be part of it. He's part of the accounting top 20 under 40. All right. Now, the reason they told me I wasn't invited to join is because I'm over 40. All right. All right. Now, so I said, hey, start one 40 to 60 or something like that. I'd be the first member and I'd start recruiting people. Okay. All right. But I haven't heard back. Who awards that? Who's the, is that accounting today or?
It's a CPA, it was CPA Practice Advisor, but as you all know, there's been some consolidation. So the CPA Practice Advisor was acquired recently. And
do they still have the top 20 under 40?
Yeah, I believe so. But as you alluded to, I think I'm no longer qualified for that.
You're not 40, are you? Are you over 40 or 40 or over?
Yeah. This is my year. I mean, I know.
Arthur, you look so young. I don't know what to say.
It's the cucumbers, Phil. It's the cucumbers.
And you're married. It's the married. How long you been married? How long you been married?
Almost 15 years.
Wow. So you got married when you were what? 10 years old? 10. All right. And children? You have children?
I do. I've got 3 children. My oldest is turning 10 next week. My daughter is 8 and my youngest son is 6 years old. So,
well, as we say, God bless you with that. That's unbelievable. Okay. You love children? Do you love children?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's terrific. I'm going to show you how old I am. I only have one daughter and she just turned 50.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's convinced that her next thing is to an assisted living center. So, she starts work. God, I just turned 50. I'm old. I don't know how many years I have left. This is what I listen to. All right. And I have 2 grandchildren.
Okay.
And one started the University of Alabama this year.
Oh, excellent.
And they have a very good football team.
I've heard about that school, once or twice, but yes, they do have an excellent football team.
Excellent. And actually, Arthur lived in Colorado. I was just discussing that with him because I lived in Denver for a while. All right. And the people there, I don't know how they are today, but all they talked about, and actually the city came to a halt. I said, that's my New York accent. City came to a halt when there was a Broncos game. Do you remember that? Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Even a preseason game, they all, everything stopped.
Yes.
We were trying to sell our house, and the realtor had someone to look at it, and the realtor said, "I'm sorry, it's 5:00, and we're going to a preseason game. We'll come over tomorrow with the person." And I said, "What kind of real estate agent are you?" But anyway. So anyway, Arthur, tell us about yourself personally. All right, you do exactly what? Tell us what you do and how you. By the way, you came out of school. And did you work for a CPA firm initially?
I did not, but one of my first jobs working in the family business was doing the bookkeeping and payroll for my family's restaurant when I was growing up in Denver. So we had a Mexican restaurant for 12 years, and I helped the family business operate. So I mean, flash forward, it's essentially what I'm doing now as an operator for a startup as a co-founder. But yeah, I mean, once I left school, I started working in on the vendor side at Paychex. So I got my start in sales there, working with accountants, with financial institutions and small businesses. And that really teed me up after 6 years in leading a team there for my role at Xero, where I helped build the initial sales team and really help kind of structure our go-to-market and accounting channels. So, I mean, if you can picture back in 2013, Xero was, brand new to the US market. And there was about 10, 12 of us in the South of the market here in San Francisco, figuring out how we were going to take on, the big competitor and how we were going to establish ourselves in the country. So those were definitely amazing times in my career with, how we took something that was new, innovative, and kind of disrupted a lot of what, what was standard in the accounting profession. So, that kind of led to, just a love and passion for helping small businesses, consulting accounting firms. And, after 6 years, I decided, you know what, I think I can do this. So I left and I joined a national franchisor and called ATAX. And we had about 45 offices that were offering tax, accounting, bookkeeping services, payroll, and did that for a couple years. And then we actually exited. So that company was acquired by John Hewitt of Loyalty Brands, a name you might be familiar with, the founder of Liberty Tax and Jackson Hewitt. And so then I was kind of left looking for the next opportunity. But before that, I really connected with accounting professionals across the Americas. And with a few former colleagues of mine, we launched the Contavi Alliance with a focus on building a community of bilingual Spanish-speaking accounting professionals in the US, Canada, all the way down to Argentina. And so building community, sharing best practices. And so we've now grown to about 75 member firms in 15 countries. And so that keeps me very well connected to the profession and working with different partners. But one of the new projects is Somos Ancestría. And what really allowed me to be a part of that project was my knowledge of starting a business in the US, navigating compliance and getting everything set up. So my co-founders were based in Mexico and they were looking for someone to help them launch in the US. And what Somos is, it's the first direct-to-consumer ancestry service for the Native and Latino communities. So the problem that we're trying to solve there is when you take a look at all of the data that's available for scientific research and drug discovery, 1.2% is represented by the Latino population. So obviously that's a problem. And also 1% of clinical trials comes from that community. So that's a focus there. We sell e-commerce, a kit like this. User provides a saliva sample.
That is what is that now? Is that a first aid kit? What is it?
This is a DNA saliva kit. So
hey, was I close?
You were close.
Wait a minute, yeah, can I spit in that box and you can give me a DNA of myself?
Yeah, actually there's a tube in there and you provide a saliva sample and we're able to provide you with a report that gives you percent of global ancestry as well as indigenous to the Americas. So we're able to provide you a breakdown of your ancestral roots, and then in the future some health insights, genetic counseling, etc., all for the purpose of accelerating the discovery of tailored medicine. So that's kind of how I pivoted from accounting to you could call it biotech, but essentially health tech is what we're doing. But I wouldn't be able to be in the role that I am today as an operator without having that core foundation of accounting and finance that I've learned throughout my career, and being able to build a network of accounting professionals has really helped.
Your major was accounting in school, right?
My major was business, but yes, marketing and accounting. And I think, you raise a good point. What am I doing on this show here? I'm not a CPA.
Well, do you have talent? I'm going to make you play an instrument, because actually like America's got talent in San Francisco. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes. So to answer that question, I've built my career in really working to help accounting professionals along the way with the transformation of their practices. So I've had the opportunity to connect with many firms from Big Four, small regional firms, and really have a pulse of the industry, if you will, from the vendor side in the new advancements of technology, but also how firms operate, how they work, the war for talent. We were talking about this earlier, is, how do accounting firms find the talent that they need to continue to grow and offer these services that are beyond compliance, but also services and value-added services that maybe are, you don't learn while you're studying accounting.
No, I don't think you really, you don't learn the real world there. And I found, like, for example, they taught consolidations in college. I had an advanced accounting, and I did not understand the thing that person was talking about. All right. Now, of course, the person who taught it was a doctorate, and he never worked in accounting. All right. So he was teaching me strictly from the book. But, I think you'll have to agree. You learn, all right, when you start working, all right, and then you can see the real picture. I think that's really the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Not, when I started, I didn't work in a firm, but I've always had a strong student mentality. If we were going to be positioning our products or our services to the accounting profession, I had to take that ownership and learn the vocabulary, right? I had to know the difference between a compilation, a review, and an audit, and I needed to know how a firm operated, what were the processes and what were the procedures, and how they billed for their time. I always like to share, my opinion is accounting professionals make money in 3 ways. Number one, for their time based on their experience. Number two, and then 3, their expertise. So, I don't know if you agree with those 3, but I think, as a young accounting professional, those are the 3 areas that I would focus. Well, if I'm brand new, I don't have the experience yet, so I've got to go find it. And, where can I go? Is it, do I build a niche practice? It's focused on a specific industry. Is that how I want to differentiate myself? So those were the types of things and areas that I would look at when working with firms, and how they were positioning themselves in the market to grow.
I don't believe an accountant, CPA, whatever, all right, can actually make a good living by charging on an hourly basis.
Right.
Okay. All right. I think you have to be paid for your value.
Absolutely.
But the first thing when you go in and try to get a client, all right, they say, how much do you charge? And if you say to them, well, I don't charge by the hour, I charge by the value of my services. All right. The problem is, at the time I was in Denver, there was so many non-CPAs. All right. There was mobile accounting services. All right. Charging $75 a month to come in there and give them financial statements, payroll. All right. And, a lot of the small businesses went with that instead of a CPA, and they didn't know the value. Actually, I don't think they knew what a CPA does.
Right.
I blame that on our professionals, societies, whatever. All right. You need to show, hey, yes, mobile is strictly, hey, you want a financial statement? That's great. Anybody can do that today. But the question is, can they look at that statement and tell you and give you advice on what you're doing or not doing? All right. I don't think that, they're not, actually anybody can work for them or started that franchise. So I think people really need to know what a CPA is, all right, and what he does.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
And I think that's what lacking. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're talking about the value that's perceived by the customer. And so I think that's definitely an opportunity for accounting firms to better present their engagements and what's included and what's that peace of mind that they have with working with the firm beyond the compliance side. But I think when we're talking about value of the firm, I think that's also might be something that's affecting the number of folks sitting for the CPA exam, right? Like, how much do they value that? If vendors are promoting to students or bookkeepers that, all you need to start an accounting firm is a laptop and download and start using one of the platforms major platforms for accounting, then you have what you need. So why sit for the CPA exam? Why spend that time, invest that money? So, I mean, you know the numbers well, Phil, but one of the areas that I look at in working with the Contable Alliance is the disparities, or I guess the lack of diversity in the profession, based on the AICPA stats that were released. There are 6% of Latinos that are represented in CPA firms across in all positions. And then when you look at actual CPAs in the profession, this is based on the 2019 study, there's 4% of Latinos that are represented in that space. And then even smaller amount are partners, so 2%. So that's one of the areas that we work on at the Contable Alliance, is how do we educate future generations? How do we build that value so that they are able to pursue a CPA, but also better serve the needs of the businesses that they're looking to serve?
Is a cost of attending college a reason, one of the reasons for having such low percentages of Latinos in, Big Four? Is this Big Four you're saying? That there's only 6% Latinos in Big Four?
No, that's in CPA firms. So this is done by the AICPA, a study that they did back in 2019. It's something that they do regularly.
Okay, and what are they doing about it? Anything?
Well, the change won't come overnight, but it's one thing to do the study and see what the numbers actually are. But then, there's a number of things that need to happen. So a good friend of mine, Jessica Velasquez, who's a CPA with Endivia Advisors, is now on the AICPA National Commission for Diversity. So sometimes there's the belief that you cannot be what you cannot see. So if we see that there's only 2% of partners in CPA firms, then for someone that's studying accounting in undergrad, or if someone is deciding on what to study on, if they don't see people in the profession that look like them, then that could be something that doesn't motivate them or interest them, because they become lost and pursuing the full, in going to the extent of getting their CPA. So I think there's some work that's being done, but there's definitely more to do, and having the conversation. And that's why I thank you for having this space and creating this space is to be able to talk about it, right? Because we know that diversity means many different things. There's gender diversity, there's ethnic diversity. And so we can't attack it just with one lens of diversity in general. We actually have to peel back the layers and identify where those challenges are. So it's a really good report that the AICPA put out there. So if anybody's listening in the audience that wants to take a further look at that, they can definitely have a look at that report.
Well, I think it's great to have reports. But the question is, every large corporation, these not-for-profits, or like the AICPA, all right? Hey, at any one day, they're having meetings all day about things, okay? All right? And I sometimes wonder, right? It's like, let's keep ourselves busy. Let's have lunch, let's discuss it. And you know what? I'll sign you to look at it and get us back some information on it, say in 6 months, all right? I wonder, with all these meetings, some of these people are professional meeters. They don't really get, all right, this 6%, that's pretty low, as you just said, all right? And the question is, who is doing something about it, all right? You're only one person. Who else is doing something?
Well, that's a very good question. There's not enough folks doing it, but there is some work. There's an organization out there called Alpha. It's the Association for Latino Professionals for America. It used to be called something different, focused on accounting, but there are organizations out there working with students at the undergrad level to get them prepared and get them exposure to some of these big firms. and not just the big four, but other firms. So there's work being done, but we need more, and we need more people that again, that are representative of the community in these roles and in these positions, to be able to share their stories with others.
Yeah, because I can, I'm sure you know this, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, all right, we had tremendous, migration of, Jews, Eastern European Jews, all right, who came to the United States, and they all came to Ellis Island. And the one thing they had to show was, all right, that they could do a certain job, all right, whether you're a plumber, all right, you do seamstress, sewing, that type of thing. And, all right, if you couldn't do anything, they would just send you back. And, but the, I don't know what the percentage, I don't know if they sent back that many, that I don't remember. But it was like these people, they were so appreciative, all right, because America is where they thought, that was the land of milk and honey. But, it's so different today. There's so much politics, right? They use diversity not to, increase the number of people coming in who are Latinos, but they use it as a political tool. They bounce it back, and I don't agree with that. But I believe you do need more. There's a lot of good people. All right?
Yes.
That 6%. There's
Yeah,
so many
that's
other good people. All right, and they're complaining. We have a shortage of accountants. All right, what do they go to colleges, universities, and try to recruit the people? What percentage of the people who are Latinos, all right, do go to college? You know the percentages on that?
Enrolled in college, I don't have the exact percentage, but that's part of the work also is getting more folks into college, but we know that those numbers are increasing. So I don't have that specific number, but beyond the accounting profession, it's also something on the tech side. As I mentioned, I worked on the tech side of things, and Latinos represent 8% of all tech employees. So when you take a look at the representation of employees working at tech companies, and whether it's in customer service, customer experience, or even sales, again, there's a segment of the market that is ripe for for acquiring, right? So if I just came back from a conference in San Diego, and the numbers are loud and clear that Latinos are starting new businesses at a faster rate than the non-Latino cohort, almost 34%. So if the economy is growing quickly in that area, in that segment, well, they're going to look for accounting professionals that look like them, that might be bilingual. And it doesn't have to be Spanish. I mean, the large majority of the 60 million Hispanics, Latinos in the US are going to speak English. So it's just a matter of connecting with them culturally, but also there's a big need on the technology side with a lot of the vendors, and being able to mirror the customer and able to serve that market. So I see that as an opportunity for the accounting profession, is to hire with that intent for diversity and talent to meet the growing needs of the community, because I mean, it's a reality. It's one of the fastest growing populations, and we're starting businesses a lot faster than the non-Latino cohort overall.
What type of businesses are they starting?
They're small businesses initially. So that's going to be from construction. It could be food services. It could be health. Stanford puts out a great report every single year. It's called the State of Latino Entrepreneurship.
Right.
I'm a graduate of the Stanford Latino Scaling Initiative. So it's research that's put on by Stanford, and they put out this report that gives insights on the industries. And that's something I can share with you. You can put in the notes there, Phil, so that others can take a look at what are the actual numbers, where's the focus, what segments, what industries. So there's definitely a large group of small businesses. And when you take a look at scaled Latino businesses, only 3% of Latino businesses generate $1 million in revenue. And so this program at Stanford is focused on helping grow that cohort and to helping them scale from 1 million to 3 to 5, et cetera, by providing them with mentorship and access to capital partners to think of different ways of scaling their business. So there's a number of resources I can share with you on those statistics there. But I think when we look at the profession, it's definitely an area to look at in making sure that they are mirroring the growing population, and also that they are going to be able to meet the needs of those services in those businesses.
How many, you don't know how many Latinos, or you said it's not all Latinos, but I think, is that a bad term to say that everyone's a Latino? All right. What's the definition of a Latino?
Sure. Thank you for that question. And so that's kind of part of the work that I'm doing on Somos, is kind of breaking down, the reality in the US, there's 60 million Latinos, and some of them are going to identify as Hispanic. Some in the group are going to reject that term. Some are going to identify as Latinx. You've heard a lot of politicians and start to reference Latinx, and some are identified differently. So when we use the term Latino, I mean, we just have to know that not everybody is going to receive that, but we're talking about origins from Latin America, right? And we know that across the Americas, there's North America, which includes Canada, US, and Mexico is part of North America. We know that Central America starts in Guatemala and below, and then there's South America. So that's an excellent question that you're asking there. So among that 60 million, individuals are going to identify differently, but generally, when you use the word Latino, it's defining a group of that origin. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that helpful?
Are the big accounting firms, including the big four, all right, are they discriminating in any way against Latinos as far as hiring practices that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, Phil. And it's really about, as I mentioned, the numbers get smaller when you go from Latinos in the accounting profession, then it's CPAs, and then it's partners, right? So somewhere in there, there needs to be, promotions, there needs to maybe better identify the talent that's already in the big four or other firms, and provide them with mentorship, provide them with pathways, and communicate, what does a career as what is the path to partner? What does that look like? And is it possible? And so they need to know that there's people that look like them in those roles. So maybe it's more leaders in those firms than discrimination, right? And I can't speak for everyone, because I myself have not worked in Big Four, but we do know that Big Four and other accounting firms regionally do a lot of recruiting at the university level. And when you are a first generation student, when you're a first generation student like I was, there's a sense of making your family proud. And there's a sense of, I'm the first in the family to do this, and not just for Latinos, but others as well. But when you have an opportunity to work at a regional firm or work at a Big Four, there's a sense of, okay, I want to work at a Big Four firm to make my family proud. Like, this is a big brand name. And maybe there's another firm that's regional. It's the same CPA firm, but maybe doesn't have the same kind of
benefit. I'm not using the word benefits, but like, for example, if people want to learn about IT, they don't have the capability of providing that education.
Yeah. They may not. And so there's an opportunity for regional firms and some of the smaller local firms to also reach that talent pool at the university level. So it's just about maybe painting the picture of what that looks like. So yes, you could go to a larger firm and you will have that big name on your resume, but look, the path to partner looks like this at our firm. And we specialize in these types of services, and we have IT, or we do app integration consulting, or we do some of these kind of new types of advisory services, and you'll have a hands-on opportunity at our firm faster because of our speed, right? So there's definitely some advantages and ways to position the value that your firm brings to that young talent.
How'd you get your license, your CPA, if you didn't work in public accounting? Did you work for any public accounting firm?
I did not.
How'd you get the experience then?
So, as I mentioned to you, Phil, my experience came from doing the work in my parents' business. And when I say the work, I'm talking about bookkeeping, doing sort of finance, payroll services. But really, my experience came from providing consulting firms on how to transition and implement best practices in their firm on transitioning to cloud technology. And that's something that we've heard a lot of, is how do you make that change. So a lot of it came from hands-on working with these firms on how in the world were they going to disrupt the processes and the structure that the partners had set up to implement these new types of services. So again, as someone that has always had a strong student mentality, is I learned from the outside. And sometimes people ask me, well, how did you get started, or did you get to this position without being an accountant by trade? And I think running the Contavi Alliance and an association for accounting firms, they don't need me to be a CPA. They need me to help them with other challenges that are facing their firms, with how they bill for their services and how they create a culture within their firm to better serve the needs of their clients. So I think those are the types of outside the box or outside of the scope, or maybe intangibles that they needed from me as they transform their firms.
The experience requirement in most states now is working at a public accounting firm 1 year, I think it is, or if you work in a company and there's a CPA who's your supervisor, all right, they can sign off as they believe you have the experience. How did you get your license? I mean, did someone sign off and say you had the experience? Is that how you got it? Did you know someone at the state board? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, they're so hell bent on this experience of working under a CPA and working for a CPA. They don't give you to say, hey, I learned more from helping companies with their accounting. All right. They don't count that. All right. No. So, what was the factor? And please, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but I'm just curious, because these states are just make the experience so difficult, they turn people off. All right. Tell me, what was your process? If you don't mind sharing with me. I don't want to get into where, hey, Arthur, tell me how you got it. All right.
So again, I don't know if I explained it correctly. So I did not work at a CPA firm. I am not a CPA, so there wasn't anybody that I worked under. I worked side by side with accounting professionals and CPAs to build that experience, but in no way do I look to represent myself as a CPA. And in that sense.
Are you a CPA? You are a CPA, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, let me ask you, why did you not? Did you want to take the CPA exam? What made you decide, I don't really need to be a CPA? All right.
Yeah.
What was your thinking on that?
There was a time where I did consider it. When I really started to come into my own in my career on the tech side that was serving the CPA community. And, I thought to myself, what, if I'm going to be successful at this, I'm going to need to have my credential. I mean, I've got my MBA, that's helped me, but, I need some of these credentials, these letters that follow the names of, some of the, the thought leaders in the industry, right?
The thought leaders?
Is that a faux pas? Is that
one thought leader that you, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, is that something that is, that's something you don't mention on your show here? But yes, I mean, it's something that I considered, but I realized that the firms that I was consulting, the team that I was, the team that I was building, it was something that I didn't need to do the work that I was doing in my role. And so therefore, it's something that I didn't consider. But I know, Phil, that with your business and the review, you're looking at, how do we reach more young people? How do we reach more people um, for that path of a CPA? And so I think that there's definitely an opportunity to position the profession in a way that is attractive, that goes beyond, maybe someone's belief that, okay, if I'm going to be an accountant, I'm going to be in a cubicle and I'm going to be doing data entry. I'm going to get a stack of work and, it never ends. And like, this is what an accountant. So I think it's painting the picture.
Boring. That sounds
Yeah.
boring to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about painting the picture of how exciting it is. And I believe that accounting is the international language of business.
Oh, definitely.
So
definitely.
Regardless of what you do in your career as a young person, if you get accounting, if you incorporate that into your experience and pursue that CPA, it will do nothing but help you in your career, regardless if you stay in practice or outside of practice. And so it's kind of painting that picture of like, this will definitely help you regardless of where you work, anywhere in the world, because the numbers are international, right? And that doesn't change regardless of what language you speak. It's all about the numbers for a small business. And so if someone can understand how to communicate and interpret that and help businesses or even their own business be successful, I think it just makes that designation also all the more important. So again, it's painting the picture of what that looks like beyond the the firm, but operating your own practice, but also outside of practice, of how it has helped professionals excel in their careers.
Do you know of people who have been turned off by the requirements to be a CPA?
Well, I think more so my experience is working with smaller firms that may have other designations or have bookkeeping or accounting experiences. They built a practice that is successful and that has been lucrative for them without having that designation. So I think it's kind of like, well, if I'm already running a bookkeeping business or a tax business doing individual returns, etc., but they don't need to provide the compilations, or they don't need to provide the audited financial statements, and why do it? I've already got a successful business. So I think that's one of the situations and one of the scenarios.
I mean, yeah, if they're doing tax returns, they can get the enrolled agent.
That's right.
And you know what? It's not as hard to qualify for that as the CPA.
Right.
Yeah. What other areas do you deal with people getting another designation? Do you know?
Well, obviously, as a financial advisor, right, in finance, you need to have another designation depending on, on the type of work that you're doing. But I think, and you've probably seen this, Phil, is there's so many platforms out there that provide educational content that for many people, they're even not looking at going to a 4-year university anymore because they're finding these platforms, are getting their education that way.
I mean, so many people who are brilliant in computers, and they maybe did 2 years of accounting, not accounting. You got to get accounting. 2 years of college, and you know what? They're very successful.
Yes.
All right. I'm not saying that you have to get a degree. I mean, really, there is a shortage of people taking the CPA exam now. In fact, over the past 10 years, number of people who are taking the exam has dropped about 50%. All right. And it's still dropping. All right. And for example, the question is, why is it dropping? Well, you want to be a CPA, you got to go really for more or less 5 years of education. You have this 150-hour rule. Okay.
Yeah.
And, if you get a CPA, 150 hours, that's an extra year. You have to spend the money for tuition or whatever. All right. So, and then the starting salaries, all right, they're not higher than someone who's a financial analyst or anything, So that's the mistake. I think the other mistake is that they're not taking into account that, hey, this profession is still, it's always been where you don't have a quality of life. All right. They work you to death, the CPA firms. Okay. And, this is a different generation. Okay. Maybe my generation, you just accepted that during tax season, they called it, I would work 55 hours a week. But they said, you know what? We only require, all right, for the rest of the year, from January 1st to maybe April 15th, we work 55 hours a week. All right. But the rest of the year, only 35 hours a week. That's great. All right. 35 hours, they think is generous. Hey, compare us to other countries, right? Right. Do other countries have it where 35 hours is hey, that's the best thing? Maybe 2 weeks vacation. All right. Hey, we work people here, I think, to death. And I think they're burned out. A lot of people burned out. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure people today, the young people coming out, all right, want to deal with that. First of all, accounting is, unless you really know what you're getting into, accounting was never the most exciting profession, all right? But unlike years ago, all right, where all you had when you came out of college was you could work for a CPA firm doing audits, all right? But you did very little of the audits, all right? I was talking to this young lady yesterday. She's been with a CPA firm for 1 year, okay? All right, you know what she's done in that 1 year? Bank reconciliations, all right? All right, sending out accounts receivable confirmations, getting the letters from the attorney. And I'm listening to this. And I said to myself, if you only need a year experience, let's assume you decide to go into practice a year from now. You don't know you don't know enough to open a practice, all right?
Yeah.
And so this whole thing of 1 year, 2 years experience, I don't know. I don't know what goes on there at the SCPA, but all right, they don't. I think this is the problem. When I was coming out of college, everyone worked at the SCPA in any type of position. All right, they were all CPAs. All right, today, God, they have the SCPA, so many non-CPAs working here. All right, giving presentations. So that's one thing. And I'll say it this way. All right, the IMA is taking over. The CMA is becoming a very big, certification. Okay. In fact, it's accepted more in foreign countries than the CPA. Why? That extra year, all right, the extra year, of education. All right. Hey, I just, I think a lot of people, I've seen people write down that if they got rid of the 150-hour rule, all right, the profession might open up. All right. But they're not going to get rid of that because that was passed by every state legislature. And they're not going to go back to them now and say, gee, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
So there's too many problems. And I stay, as I tell people, I do the podcast and stay in the profession right now, not for the money. I did all right for many years because I ran a CPA review school and I was a certified financial planner. All right. I took the CFP exam. And so I was in different things. And I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. So I had, I did it all. And you know what? When I got out of school, you know what the requirements were to get the CPA in Maryland? No experience requirement and a bachelor's degree in accounting. That was it. All right. Not a bachelor's degree where you have to take 6 credits in this. 3, very simple. And you know what? People passed the exam, and I'm sure they didn't destroy the clients that they had. All right. Now that is all changed.
Yeah.
All right. That was the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great what you're doing here with the podcast, Phil, and I think just continuing to, again, help folks with the CPA exam. Some people might try to do it on their own, but there needs to be the review school, and so that people don't get discouraged. Like, what happens if they're taking it, but they miss by a point or a couple points on one of the exams, right? So providing the services and resources that you do help along that way. And so, it's definitely great for me to kind of share my experience from an outsider
But
and my
Arthur,
experience in
I
the
have to tell
profession.
you, I'm one person, okay? All right. Hey, the AICPA said their primary purpose is to protect the public. I asked them at the AICPA, what about the CPA candidates? And they said, that's not their problem. All right. And there's passing rates that are so ridiculous. They don't monitor it. So I think they should be an advocate for the CPA candidate. All right. And that's not the case. Hey, you're trying to advocate for the Latino population, right?
Yes.
All right. How many people help you with that? Do you have people helping you?
Our members, I've got partners that help with that. So there's some other organizations that kind of see things similar, and doing the best we can.
Yeah, and I hate to hear when you say only 6% of Latinos. There's so many people out there that could get these positions. What doesn't have to be in accounting. Okay, they could be in. Hey, they could do advisory work for Latino businesses.
Yes.
Because they speak their language. Seriously.
Right.
All right. I think you have to speak bilingual today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They might be bilingual. They might relate to them more culturally. So, I mean, again, I see the Latino market is a big opportunity for the profession, and it starts with finding the right talent. Right. You've got to have the experience, but also folks that are culturally representative enough to connect with those small businesses. And I think it's definitely an area of opportunity.
And the question is, what would you recommend to, this is the final question, what would you recommend to a person who is Latino who would come to you and say, I don't know what to do. I'm graduating high school. I know it's a tough age for someone to figure out what they want to do, but I'm graduating high school. All right. What do you think I should do? All right. Is that a tough question to advise them?
No, I would share with them my experience, and I would encourage them to get a degree in accounting and finance. I mean, again, being blessed to have a global perspective of knowing that the numbers are what drive this the economy in the world. It's like, if you can study in accounting and finance, then you will understand the language of business. And if you can understand the language of business, there's no shortage of opportunities for you as a young person understanding that. So I definitely see those would be my words. Did
you want to be in marketing? You sound like you like marketing a lot. All right. Would you like to be just in marketing, or you want to be in the accounting area? All right. You sound like a great marketing person. Oh, really? You do.
Yeah, well, I studied marketing, but again, having that entrepreneurial DNA and working with my parents' business was led naturally to business. And hey, marketing, sales, I mean, I think in life we're always selling something, right? Whether it's our idea, our business, something. So I think it's something that's great to, yeah, you're selling yourself all the time, right? So I think it's something that's helped me along my career, but it's definitely understanding how businesses function and operate. And again, that goes back to the accounting side of things, is how they operate. So that's the advice that I would give to a young person with their deciding on what it is that they want to study or do, is I would tell them to do that, because the opportunities are limitless when you have a sound background in accounting and finance.
Yeah, Arthur, you really impressed me. Yeah, I'm very impressed that you have all this sales background. You built up businesses, and you're still building up. And God, you look so young too, which I think is good. But no, I think I was listening to what you've done, and I think it's great. I mean, you have other qualities. I don't have to tell you this, all right? But you'd be great to tell people how to build up businesses, or who have trouble. That's the hardest thing, is where do I start building up a business? All right. That they don't teach necessarily in school. I don't know. Do they teach that in entrepreneurship programs?
Until grad school is when I took the first entrepreneurship course.
Well, I have to tell you, I think you would be better than any entrepreneurship. All right. All right. It's the school of hard knocks. That's really what it is. All right. Hey, I appreciate you being on here. and I probably spoke too much, okay? Uh, I'm very passionate about the profession, not because I did not want to be a CPA or an accountant, all right? I wanted to be in marketing. But once I got my degree in accounting, wherever I went to a company, it'd say, he'd probably be good in marketing, but you know what? We have a good accounting job here, all right? That's who the placement companies wanted to send me to. That's easier to place me there, get their commission. So what I would say is, all right, go into an area that you think you would be good at. And you know something, all right? You can learn something if you didn't have it. Don't be an accountant just because I am telling you to be an accountant. And also, I mentioned one last thing. My mother said, if you don't major in accounting, I won't pay you tuition. So I'm not complaining at this point. But I just think that there's so many opportunities today, more so than we had 40 years ago. Take advantage of them. All right. Hey, listen to people like Arthur. He's probably the best person to listen to, more so than anybody with all his experience. So
Thank you, Phil.
And no, I mean, I really appreciate, and I've had, hey, talking to different people that all right, they've taught me a lot. And, you're never too old to learn.
No, and things are changing so quickly. And so, yeah, the profession has to adjust as those changes come. I mean, a few days ago, I received my first NFT, right? So it's like, all right, this whole crypto and NFTs and how those impact income, etc. So there's things changing quickly, and again, a need for accounting, and that's maybe a rabbit hole. Maybe another hour to talk about that specifically. But
yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
But again, appreciate you having me on, and let me know.
Well, let me just say, I appreciate you being on. I really do, and I think you added a lot. So anyway, I want to thank Arthur Garcia. All right. And by the way, most people don't know I am 50% Latino. Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say I've got a DNA test for you. We can kind of get your breakdown.
I have a friend of mine who's Italian. Took one. Who's your big competitor in that DNA testing? Is that the?
Well, there's other players in the market like 23andMe and Ancestry.
Well, a friend of mine who lives in Rhode Island, where I went to school, Italian, 100%. Okay. He took one of those companies. He found out that he's 20% Jewish, which was very interesting. I thought that was interesting. So, hey, I wish you the best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
And by the way, you sound like a beautiful family, and enjoy them. They grow up fast. I don't have to tell you that. And once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank Arthur Garcia, who is a tech leader and has a lot of information to share. I'm sure that if you have any questions for him, all right, you can contact him. All right. And is this your thing? artfgarcia@gmail.com.
They can reach me on Twitter. I'm pretty active there at Arthur F. Garcia. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Arthur, I want to thank you. And by the way, everyone, I want to thank you for making us such a successful podcast. All right, we're in the top 10% of a business, which includes accounting, podcast. Actually, people enjoy listening to this, and I think to myself, they do. All right, but really, and I appreciate all the positive comments I get. All right, so therefore, just keep those rolling out there. And if you want a certain guest in a certain area, please write to me. Call me. Here's my phone number: 301-874-4900. 301-874-4900, extension 5. And if there's anything I can do to help you, or you're interested in a certain topic, I'll find someone who knows that topic. Okay. Take care, everyone. Stay well, stay healthy. And most of all, we've gone through this pandemic. I thought people would learn to be nicer to other people. I don't see that a lot. All right. So therefore, be nice to people. Okay. We only have each other. Correct? I mean, that's really it. All right. Arthur, take care. Stay well. And hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.